Just see my screen, yeah.
Um, yeah, but Jen, do you have
Cool.
and let the attendees in? Oh yeah,
I think the attendees are here.
Connor's in the room. Connor Butler.
Hi guys. We'll start in about 1 minute. We'll just let people filter through. Thank you all for being here and being on time. Okay, so it's just gone 1/2 past. So we'll just do a couple of introductions as people are filtering through. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Lula, and I am the Food Growing and Network Officer at Sustain and Capital Growth. And I just want to introduce my colleague Rachel, who maybe give a wave, who is the Capital Growth Coordinator. So if you need any help, tech things, or just any questions, we will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A. So please do flag to us if any of you guys need any assistance. Also, if you want to introduce yourself in the chat to each other, please do so. If you feel comfortable, it's always nice for people to make connections. So thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Maybe you're just back from work, cooking dinner, walking your dogs with your headphones in, wherever you are. We really appreciate your presence with us this evening, and we are very excited to have you and our wonderful speakers as well. So just a bit of housekeeping before we begin. We are recording the session today. We'll send it out to all of you. It will also be on our website. So if possible, don't use any AI transcriptions or recordings, as sometimes it can mess up our side of tech. And I also just want everyone to be aware that at Sustain, we like to run our events inclusively. So please do be considerate of other people's points of views and avoid using any offensive, inappropriate references or language. We really want to create a space where we can listen and learn, but also be open to being challenged. And if anyone has any concerns with anything that was said today or anything that um, other participants say, please do get in touch with me and Rachel and we can help you out. So, as you can see, we have an incredible lineup today. We've got some great speakers who will be sharing their work in community food growing, nature, and also urban ecology. So, that includes Jonathan Miller McCall, Pam Shaw, and Ali Graham Brown. And you'll also have a little project update from both me and Rachel today. Also, if you have any questions that come up about any of the presentations, do put them in the Q&A little chat box. So we'll also monitor the chat and we will get to your questions. And I think that is it. So I will hand over to Rachel for our first presentation. Rachel, when you want to click slides, just let me know.
Okay, thanks, Lula, and hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. I'm Rachel, and I run Capital Growth with Lula. And if you don't know who we are, we're London's largest food growers network, representing over 2,000 growing spaces. And what we're here to support food growing that's inclusive, nature friendly, and climate resilient. And we do various campaigns that advocate for more land, more recognition, and more resources for food growing in London. And we like to help people who run these spaces to better understand and communicate their impact. We've got a map of food growing spaces all over London. If you're not on it, then you need to get on it. Anyone can join as long as they have some kind of food growing space. It could just be a balcony or an allotment plot, community garden, city farm, anything goes. But if that doesn't apply, you can always join our mailing list and then you get to stay in the loop about events, workshops, and opportunities in the sector. Um, so we see food growing in urban context as important parts of community resilience. And right now, community resilience is vital, especially in times of global conflict, division, and unrest. When you feel powerless, there's nothing better than sowing seeds, watching your plants grow, and harvesting and sharing food together. And there's a lot more of that happening in London than people think, which is why we do Good to Grow Week. This is something that we've been running every April for around 15 years. And it's all about showing off what we're made of, inviting people into our growing spaces, encouraging more people to discover the joys of growing food, tending the land, and creating places for nature. And it's really a simple idea. We amplify what you're already doing, and we bring more awareness and fresh faces to your garden. So it's the simple thing where you can just think up an event, and it could be a regular volunteer session. Other things that are often really popular are seed swaps or plant sales, craft activities, bug hunts, talks, tours, whatever works for your garden. And then you register it through the Capital Growth website. And if you're not already a member, then you just can join really easily and then join through the website. And then once you do that, there's a bunch of resources that we provide to help you promote and plan and run your event. And then alongside that, we do a load of promotional activity in various like local and London-wide press to just like shout about what everyone's doing. And we do things like we've got a photo competition, so we really like people to take snaps of their events on the day. So we've got a really good record of what's been going on, and we have a little competition to win a £50 seed voucher for that. So that's a really fun thing that people can get involved in. And next slide. Last time we did it was uh, here, yeah, you can go back. That's when you're once you join as a member of Capital Growth, this is like what your dash when you log in, this is what your dashboard looks like, and then you can click on the sign up um, buttons to add your event. It's very simple. Next slide. So last time we did it, we didn't do it last year because of funding and staffing constraints. But the last time we did it in 2024, we had 155 gardens took part. And despite it being a really cold and rainy week, around 2,000 folks, including 340 eager new volunteers, turned up, rolled up their sleeves, and got involved. And the gardens who took part said it improved their profile, helped them feel more connected to the wider food growing community, and also engage with new members of their community. So it's a lovely thing to get involved in if you can, and we'd love to have you. And that is all from me, I think. Yes. And I'm going to go over to Lula.
I'll take back over. So yeah, the second capital growth project that we want to share with you guys is our big city bug hunt. And over the summer, we successfully ran a couple of pilot bug hunts in community gardens around London. And we found that people were just like fascinated by insects and really loved to go out looking for them and also at them and taking pictures of them. And here are a couple that we spotted in gardens across the city. My favorite is that really small aquatic snail. Um, and everyone wanted to protect them and look after the wildlife in their gardens, but didn't always know the ins and outs of the insect world. So we've created this project to really help you guys tell your bees from your hoverflies and help people understand the different kinds of habitats that are needed for these amazing creatures. Little things like bees living underground. I only learned that like a few months ago, and we need to make space for them to burrow. So yeah, the more you know about these kinds of insects, the more you can actually help create little homes for them. So what exactly is the Big City Bug Hunt? At its core, it's a citizen science project, and it's really designed to help food growers learn more about wildlife, but a large part of it is also about actually gathering data on the very positive impact that growing sites have on urban wildlife as safe havens for insects and other wildlife to breed and live and hibernate as well. So we really want people out in their growing sites looking for bugs, hunting for bugs, and also recording them. And the main way that we're going to gather these recordings is through hosting our project on iNaturalist. And for those of you who don't know what iNaturalist is, it's a super easy to use app. You can also have it on your browser. You just make an account and you can join our project. And then you just go out and you take pictures of stuff. And when you take a picture of it through the app, it will ID any insect or plant. I think anything, even if it's birds. And it will ID it, and you can add this record to our London-wide project just by taking the picture, but also it will go into a personalized garden site-specific project that we will set up for you. So you can monitor what's going on in your own space, but also see what else is happening in growing sites around London. So why is this important? Why are we doing this? A lot of the time, food growing spaces are left out of conversations about nature recovery and urban greening. Often things like land left unused is prioritized, but we know that this actually isn't the case, and humans and nature can coexist really happily in our food growing spaces. We know that, and I'm sure you know that from just being in your growing sites. And if we have data on this, if something is important in this world, we do actually need to be able to monitor it and have that hard data. So by being able to prove that food growing sites benefit insects, we actually have a really good chance at securing and protecting our sites through this data, through things like biodiversity specific funding and local policy and planning. So it is really helpful. So, as well as being part of a really important London-wide food growing campaign and looking at bugs, if that hasn't convinced you, we've also got loads of stuff to offer you through this project. We have really great training on how to ID and monitor bugs. We have this online and also in person. We actually have one coming up next Wednesday. If anyone wants to join, we will have critter consultants, which are basically workshop leaders that we're going to deploy across the city who will come to your food growing sites and run workshops for you. We have created a big city bug hunt toolkit, which has loads of fantastic fact files, informations about bugs, citizen science, and we also have created activity guides, which you can find in the toolkit and online for a kind of generic above ground bug hunt, but also for pond dipping, because we also love frogs. And as well as insects, we have to look after our pond life as well. We will also have kind of 3 main weeks of engagement where we will be deploying these critter consultants. We'll come to your gardens too. So we have our big bug hunt weeks in April, June, and September. And we've made it really easy for you because the April one coincides with the Good to Grow week. So if you're hosting an event, you can run a bug hunt as well. And then you're really in the folds of the Capital Growth family. So if I've convinced you and you love bugs and you love vegetables and you want to protect your food growing sites, please do join us. This is a little map of our current sites that have signed up from our pilots, but we need more. So if you have your phone on you, or I think Rachel is sending a link in the chat, if you just scan that QR code, you'll be able to register your growing site. And once you've done that, we'll send you lots of information about how to get further involved. I appreciate that was very quick, but we have all of this information online as well with very clear steps, and never feel shy to email me or Rachel because we love food growing and we love bugs. Great. Okay. Well, I think that's most of the capital growth updates, and I will pass back to Rachel to introduce our speakers.
Thanks, Lula. I hope everyone's very excited about bugs after that. And this leads on very nicely to our first guest speaker, who is Jonathan, who's a self-confessed nature nerd, and also really loves bugs and loves discovering them and sharing the fun with people far and wide through social media events, workshops. He does a lot around conservation and um, communicating the wonder of the natural world to people. So very excited to hand over to Jonathan for the next little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I'm Jonathan. I'm a nature activist, a naturalist, conservationist, nature nerd, anything that means that, that's what I am. And my aim essentially is to inspire, like we said, inspire curiosity about the natural world and keep people connected with nature, especially in the city. Um, and talking about my work, I like to go down memory lane to when I was a trainee at London Wildlife Trust. Um, and essentially, it's a 4 month program where you get hands-on experience in the sector, meeting cool people, doing cool, meaningful work, like practical conservation, community engagement, and social media and comms. And upon finishing that traineeship, I really thought about what I wanted to do because I had recently finished uni, studied animal management and conservation, and I was finding it very hard to get into the sector, to get my foot through the door. And so I thought, why don't I use my social media as a portfolio essentially to kind of again communicate the importance of nature and how much biodiversity that we have in London. So I make engaging content, talking about some scientific topics that I can create, make more digestible and more easily to understand and more inclusive, um, and really, really highlight again that biodiversity in London. For example, across London, which is one of the largest urban forests, we have over 14,000 species. And there's over 8 million trees in London that further support that biodiversity in blue, green, and open spaces. And I love to really highlight really cool species. And I am myself a bug nerd. So, for example, this picture on the top right is a scorpion fly, and they are part of a ancient group of insects in the order Mecoptera. I'll put that in the chat just so because I can't just throw scientific words at you like that. There you go. It is Mecoptera, and that order goes as far back as when the dinosaurs were around, so millions of years ago, and they are actually one of the early ancestors of butterflies. And I love to highlight cool facts like this to people, and again, keep people connected. And originally, thank you. Originally, that was the aim when I started my page, but now I think since last year, I went on a retreat and it really changed my and added to my perspective of nature and nature connection, and also how we as humans talk about nature. I feel like we very much separate ourselves from nature. There's not really a word in our language that includes humans and nature, but I like to communicate us as one because we are from nature. And that feeds into the fact that everyone deserves to experience nature, experience the wonders of the natural world, and reap the benefits that it has on your mental health and your overall well-being. So it's kind of evolved into a mixture of science communication, nature wellness, and also I love to champion inclusivity. Sorry, could you go to the next slide? That my social media work has led me to doing workshops, speaking at events, and I love to hit home the fact that growing up, I never had any role models that looked like me, or I never really saw people that looked like me in the sector, and I thought that it's impossible that these people don't exist, and I want to help to inspire the next generation of conservationists, especially people of color, because I myself, as a black man, never saw any black conservationists growing up, and I thought it's impossible. So I want to keep championing people of any background in the sector and make people feel comfortable being in the sector because I feel like there's a whole thing around knowledge and having to know a lot and having to have all of these skills when in actuality the environmental sector is one big community of great people that are really welcoming and welcome people to develop and really, really feel like they're a part of something big and a part of a big community of passionate people that want to make nature accessible and highlight how much biodiversity is there is. And I've lost my train of thought. because I did a lot of talking. But yeah, no, literally, my aim is to just inspire people. I wanna make nature accessible. I want everyone to be as enthusiastic as I am about nature and find their own part of nature to that they gravitate towards because I feel like no one has the same area of nature that they connect to. And I want people to find that themselves, and then that creates that passion to protect the environment without making it this kind of thing of you need to know this, you need to know that, you need to do this and that. I think nature itself is not there's no structure. We're not meant to have structure. We're meant to it's an interconnected um it's an interconnected ecosystem, and that's how we should treat it. We shouldn't treat it like you need to know a million things and facts. Like it's all about the curiosity, and I think that's all you need to get into nature, to make it a part of your everyday life, because it should be something that is part of our everyday lives. Um, but going back to my Instagram, I had some cool facts that I actually wanted to tell everyone very quickly. If you go back one slide, the picture isn't there, but it just kind of helps. There is a common garden visitor. I feel like a lot of people may notice them. They are called hoverflies, and they're a big pollinator, very, very crucial pollinator. And a lot of hoverflies tend to have or adopt this black and yellow coloration. And I always wondered what this was until I searched this up and found out it is a type of mimicry. And if you don't know what mimicry is, it's when a species essentially puts on a costume looking like another species. It to put it that way. And hoverflies display Batesian mimicry, which I'm going to put that again in the chat just so you can see how it's spelled to make sure I know how to spell it as well. Otherwise, it's not very good, is it? There you go. And yeah, so they exhibit Batesian mimicry, which is where an animal exhibits the characteristics and the appearance of a species that has essentially more defense. So hoverflies have black and yellow coloration. Wasps and bees also have black and yellow coloration. They have stingers and they can bite. So this sends a message out to all predators saying, I'm armed. Don't come near me. I'm just trying to get on with my business type thing. And that means that they end up surviving. It's basically fancy dress for survival. And I think that's really cool to highlight. Um, and yeah, that is me. That is what I'm about. I'm about all of the cool facts and fancy dress for survival. Yeah, I love that. That was off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, that is me. All about nature. I'm trying to inspire the next generation and inspire people to keep connected with nature. And yeah, that is me. Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Jonathan. Um, I love that fancy dress for survival. I feel like that should be like a theme for a party, right?
And-
Um, yeah, thank you so much. I love that you're bringing more people into nature and conservation and showing people that it's for everyone. And just like in nature everything's interconnected. So should we be. And I feel like that brings us really nicely onto Elisa and your work that spans the divide between ecology and community food growing. Um, Ali's a biodiversity officer at Cody Dock, and their background is in community food growing. So they're bringing these two worlds together and bringing like stewarding of the land together with recording and creating habitat for nature. And we just love how, and also currently working at Core Landscapes in Hackney. But we just love how Ali creates warmth and wonder and sharing their knowledge and passion in an inclusive and accessible way that makes everyone feel welcome. So over to Ali.
Oh, that's so sweet, Rachel. Thank you. Bear with while I share my screen. Are we sharing?
Yep, you're all
Yeah.
good. Although Rachel's face is there. And Oh, it's gone
Better?
now. Yeah, you're good.
Cool. Hi everyone. There's some really familiar faces in this online room, so it's really nice to see you all. I see some faces from Wolves Lane, a place I hold very near and dear to my heart, so nice to see you all. My name's Ali. I wear a few different hats. Currently, I have 2 roles. So I'm a biodiversity officer and urban ecologist at a community charity called Cody Dock in Canning Town. And I'm also a part-time community grower and horticultural educator at a mental health charity called Core Arts, or Core Landscapes, and that's in Hackney. But yeah, my background is in community food growing and actually sort of sustainable food campaigning as well. So I used to work quite closely with Sustain, with the Sustainable Food Places program, sort of pre-COVID days, and got into food growing that way. So the ecology side is a new element to my work, and I'm just finding it really fascinating, connecting and bridging those different gaps. My interest the last few years has been about bridging in many different ways. So bridging the gap between student and teacher is really important to me. I've been doing a lot of education work, helping build bridges between people and land, mostly through supporting the access for community gardens and community farms, questioning the binary between wild and cultivated, between conservation projects and food projects, and why we have them as siloed categories. I've been really fascinated by how we blend those things. I want to invite you guys to question and break down those rigid categories with me today, mostly just by looking at some pictures of bugs and plants. So we've got in the very center here, one of my favorite scarce bumblebees, the brown-banded carder. And that was found outside of an Amazon depot in Canning Town. It's just one of those creatures that you find. I found it in the middle of nowhere, and it was just so inspiring to me that you could find a bumblebee that has been on the list for bees to look out for the Bumblebee Conservation Trust, and it was just there outside of Amazon. And I had a bunch of volunteers with me on that day, and everyone was just over the moon. That kind of excitement about nature is what I really live for. And after that day, everyone came out of that workshop knowing exactly what a brown-banded carder looks like. And then just below it, see another bee hanging out on some brassicas in one of my community gardens. Both really, really happy guys in different contexts. We've got on the left-hand side the hands of folks who have been saving seeds in our community garden in Hackney. You see some tomato seeds fermenting there in the cup. But what I want to bring your attention to is actually the right-hand corner, because what we've got going on there is what I'm interested in. We've got raised beds with food growing in the back, some soft fruit, I think, maybe some rocket that's gone to flower. It probably had loads of chard and tomatoes growing in it. But in the front, I've been trialing doing brownfield gardens, gravel gardens, next to food growing sites. And I think it's a really interesting way to get people talking and thinking about what does a garden look like? What can a farm look like? What do these green spaces, these community spaces of the future, a future where drought is a real issue, a future where biodiversity is in crisis. The UK is one of the most nature depleted countries in the world. How can we sort of stop thinking about gardens being a particular way, or farms being a particular way, or growing spaces being a particular way? How can we combine and think creatively about these spaces? And I think a lot of that has to do with education and about bringing sort of the learnings from different sectors into one place. So I do a lot of work at Cody Dock in the citizen science realm. which Lula was talking about earlier, but basically just making biological recording or just monitoring for invertebrates, plants, birds, bats, making that feel accessible and easy for anyone. The kind of thing where you can just show up as a volunteer for a few hours and just come out with a whole load of skills about how to safely and ethically, for example, capture a bumblebee in a net and then ID it, or how to not be scared of little beetles up there in the corner, how to be curious about all the life that exists around us. So I think citizen science is a really amazing first step for most people, particularly in the UK where we are so disconnected from nature. And that's part of why we're in a biodiversity crisis to begin with. So I'm really, really passionate about that. I want to bring this into our food growing spaces as well. So that's what I've been trying to do. For landscapes, we've been trialing, basically doing small scale ecology habitat work within a growing space. So on the right hand side, you've got lemon balm growing literally in aggregate. So no soil whatsoever, no amendments, no fertilizer, no pesticide, and no water. Most importantly, growing next to wildflowers, so verbascums and Centaurea nigra, some teasels there, and all of these things sort of coexisting and speaking to each other, and obviously attracting amazing pollinators along the way. At the very bottom, we've got some of my students making bee habitats there, just with offcuts of wood from local arborists in Hackney. We made a little wattle and daub filling for solitary bees, and we've been trialing out different types of bug hotels. So we've got some bamboo there from site. But yeah, just sort of incorporating the ecology side of things into the food growing spaces and making it feel more easeful and more acceptable. And now, yeah, we've got some lovely tomatoes there grown by my volunteers. I guess it's really important to me that we see the biodiversity crisis and the social crises that we are living in as part of one bigger picture, as part of a holistic picture. And I really do think that disconnection from land and inaccessibility of education about land, food growing, ecology, loss of connected green spaces for pollinators, all of these things, I think community growing spaces are such a powerful place of connection where all of those things come together. And yeah, I just feel really passionately about that. I know Lula mentioned this really briefly, but I just want to bring your attention to one of my favorite, it's kind of a game, but it's also a ecologist tool and a really accessible way to get into biological recording. So iNaturalist.org. There's a website, which I prefer, but also an app. And yeah, like Lula says, you can set up a sort of area for your particular garden or your particular park, for example. And all of the amazing things that people record in that area then get compounded, and you get a really nice holistic sense of what kind of life is going on in that site. On this point, Lula, Rachel, and I are scheming for the 9th of April to do an iNaturalist workshop. So keep your eyes out for that. We'll teach you guys how to use this amazing tool and how to use it in your community growing spaces as well. So keep your eye out for that. And I think I've yapped now for more than my time, but these are my contact details. Like I say, I work for Cody Dock and Core Landscapes at the moment. And I just wanted to close off with one of my favorite videos from last year. That's a seal in the River Lee. And to me, that says it all. It's the life that can persist and resist in one of the UK's most polluted rivers. All the life that can persist in the city. I think it's really inspiring, and it's sort of why we're all here, I think. Yeah, thanks so much.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Ali. Yes, nature does persist despite everything we throw at it. And when people like you guys create these gardens and these spaces, they just rush right back in, and it's like it's very heartening to see that. So thank you, Ali. I love that, and I think curiosity keeps coming back as the most important ingredient in all of this is curiosity about the world around us. So thank you. And finally, our headlining act, Pam Shaw, who is the head grower at Black Roots at the Wolves Lane Centre. I always describe Pam as a force of nature. And yes, she has a very powerful ability to lift people's hearts and minds and draw everyone into agroecology and mycology and permaculture in a really beautiful, heartfelt and visionary way. So, and interestingly, in the webinar chat, Adi, is it Ali or Adi, is mentioning
Adi, Urban Mushrooms.
Adi, oh, you know him, of course you know him. Talking about how about bringing fungi into these spaces, and that's exactly what Pam does. So, I will pass you on to Pam to share your work.
Thank you so much, everybody. It's so amazing to see so many friends in the room again, from Wolves Lane and again from my mushroom growing journeys. My name is Pamela Shaw and I'm the head grower at Black Roots. I didn't start off as a head grower and blend into some of the things that Jonathan was saying about not really having access to nature. I was really fortunate to have access to an allotment growing up, but I wasn't very interested. I just used to do what my mum did and follow and watch in the footsteps of the elders. And it wasn't until COVID that I realized that the seeds that she'd been saving were so important because it prevented me from having to go into the supermarkets. I could go to my garden and just pick up a little bit of scallion for my potato salad, which actually saved me from trauma of all of the hustling and bustling that there was fighting over the tins of beans. Now, for me, that space in the garden really allowed me to connect. And when I tried to go back to reality, it wasn't possible. The garden didn't just bring me a way to provide food for myself, but a peace and a peace of mind, a place where I could connect and observe and learn about myself as well as my Mother Earth. And I tried to join these two passions of mine, growing food, working with young people and community, and started doing workshops locally in the area that I grew up with in Haringey, going to different youth centres, doing lots of workshops, which led me to Black Roots, where I am now. And Black Roots is an intergenerational organisation that teaches communities how not just to connect to food, but to land and nature. Living in a city, I had what we call is green blindness, and insects did not understand the benefits of what they provided in our life. I didn't understand the world of mycelium. And not a few years down the line, because I've been playing in the garden for many years, I've been crawling in the garden. But just wanting to be able to provide my child and myself and my community with food that was accessible led me to understand that everything's interconnected. So when we talk about the environment around us, we talk about fauna and flora. But as Adi has lended to in the chat today, we forget fungi. And that's the mycelium network that connects everything. And through my passion for not just growing food healthily, pesticide-free, using principles, indigenous principles that we were tending to and were guardians and custodians to the land that we were about. It wasn't just a farm, it was about land management, large-scale land management. And this knowledge and skills is about being connected. It's about understanding people and place. It's about understanding that we're all a part of the solution. So when it comes to community growing and food growing, it means so much to me because in the space of Wolves Lane Horticultural Centre, I've been able to not just grow food, but grow myself and grow with individuals as they learn to engage with the many different aspects. So from microgreens to sprouting beans to mini bug hunts and engaging in the world of mycology and soil regeneration and composting systems, community gardens host a place and a space to allow anybody at any level to be able to access and participate. We don't have to be scientists. We are the citizen scientists. We are the observers of nature. And as nature is a part of us, we are the protectors and guardians of nature. And when we have this reciprocal relationship with our garden spaces, our community spaces, we learn to take care of it. And that's what the Wolves Lane Centre and being a part of Black Roots has done for me. We work a lot with Indigenous or culturally appropriate crops, and that also lends to climate resilience, because at the moment, with the change in the weather, which we all know is something that the earth will naturally go through. But what are we as humans? How are we impacting on that? Do I believe that community growing is the answer to food systems change and climate resilience? No, but I know that we as communities have the power and ability to provide sustainability for ourselves. And with the change in climate, we know in the next 30 years, Kew Gardens are already researching what the temperatures are going to be like in the UK. Their research department in Madagascar has allowed for that knowledge to be taken on board, not just from seeds, but to the mycelial network that supports the trees to be able to ensure that we can green areas and feed communities. But I really do believe that it starts with one. And it starts with us and it starts with communities, because we can help ourselves. We're not talking about large scale farming. We're talking about balconies. We're talking about what supplements we can put into our diets to improve our health. Our food is our medicine. Everything is interconnected. We use cosmetics. Our food is our plants. Nature gives us everything. We look at the buildings around us, the clothes we wear. Nature gives us everything. So from going from green blindness and knowing the only plant that was outside was a stingy nettle, to be able to connect with my plants who are now my friends and my family, and I connect to them and understand how they can help to heal myself and heal communities, provide food, provide building materials. And we as society, as communities, when we look at each other's work, we are the change that we want to see. So no matter how big or small you feel you are, that tiny little insect has a role, just as so do we. And I feel that community growing has inspired me to feel empowered and feel that I'm actively being a part of the change that I want to see, protecting the land and teaching others, from young people in schools to the bees and buds. I don't get to play with them as much, but seeing the young people explore nature, seeing adults change their food habits and diets because they're able to incorporate some oyster mushrooms into their diet, bringing in the necessary nutritions, understanding how we can regenerate soil by composting our own waste and replicating nature. So it's time to stop. It's time to listen to nature around us. It's time to work together. It's time to be a part of the change that you want to see. And I'm just really grateful to be here with Capital Growth and Elisa and Jonathan, because I'm happy to be a part of the inspiration that can show that no matter what kind of space you have, you can make a difference in your community. And by sowing a seed, by saving a seed, by sharing a seed, we are the hope for the future. And that's about it from me.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Pam. And I've just shared in the chat the Wolves Lane Seed Festival.
Thank you.
It's happening this weekend.
Excellent.
It's being organised by Pam and her team. Thank you. That is a really lovely.
I'm trying to keep it to 7 minutes. Sorry.
You nailed it. It was 7.5 minutes. So that was pro. So pro. But thank you. That was really lovely. And uplifting and empowering to hear the way you speak, because that green blindness is such a big thing because plants make up our whole life, our whole worlds, but we don't see them. And just coming into relationship to it, you start to take control of your life and your health, and it opens up a whole world, doesn't it? As you all know. Um, so thank you very much. We wanted to open up to a Q&A and see if anyone has any questions they want to ask anyone in the panel.
None have come up yet, but maybe panelists, if you have questions for each other as we let questions come in the chat. Or I have a super quick question. Is there one thing that you guys can think of that you think would make the easiest and biggest impact to wildlife in your growing sites? Like a small change that our listeners could make.
I always think adding water, adding a pond is really incredible, and it's usually quite easy for most people. I've made ponds just by digging a hole and putting a bucket in it. So, really simple DIY ponds out there, and yeah, you get all sorts of life just with a bit of water.
I've got two things. I would say seed saving and mushroom growing. Mycelium network is very important. We don't acknowledge it for the role that it plays in ecology. Again, fauna and flora acknowledged, and they are protected. In the world of mycology, we're currently working towards getting the terminology called funga protected as well. So Juliana Fulci and the Fungi Foundation have done incredible work raising the vibrations and making it that aware, and seeing how we can also produce food using scrap and waste materials.
I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm taking a little bit of inspiration from No Mow May, just leaving a part of your garden to grow and let nature do its thing, because you need to like, you can't have a curated, heavily curated, manicured environment in the green space garden or balcony that you're trying to grow in. You should definitely, by all means, pick whichever species, but I think allow nature to do its thing, because you'll invite so much more biodiversity into your garden. There you can find roughly over 2,000 species in the average garden. And you can find probably even more. Sorry, you can probably have near the same in whatever space that you try to grow in. So I think, yeah, letting an area of your garden or your green space or whichever space you're growing in to just do its thing, be natural, invite more biodiversity, invite more species, and you'll see like exactly what comes, because nature doesn't wait. If there's space for it to grow, it will be there instantly. You won't even know until you see everything come up. So yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, I started doing that. Oh, well, started not mowing and started getting ragwort growing up in my lawn, and then that attracts the cinnabar moth, and
Yep.
then I had cinnabar moths in my garden, which are like beautiful black and red moths, and it was so awesome. Thank you. We've got a couple of questions. I had a question from Clement in Exeter. So you're planning a Good to Grow event in Exeter. Yes, unfortunately, like our national Good to Grow network is kind of dormant at the moment because we don't have any funding for it. So we won't be able to provide that national Good to Grow map. But we can send you some like resources that we've created for the London groups that can help you with running your event. But I'm afraid, yeah, we just don't have anyone working on the national network at the moment, sadly. But I hope you do something for Good to Grow next year, because yeah, you've always had a really good strong community gardening thing going on down there. And we also had a question from Matthew Dring, who is my brother. Hi, bro. Thanks for being here. He's got a good question. So, what do you think the future of wildlife in London is going to be? That's a big question. Anyone have any thoughts?
Hi, Matt. It's nice to hear from you. It's been ages. You are a legend. I think for me, I need to think hopefully. I need to think that there is a more expansive future for wildlife in cities and in London, and that developers and people who manage land can do that in a more kind way, and that people who steward spaces, from community gardens to rooftops of corporate buildings, people who have sort of power and autonomy over space. I hope that they can get behind all the tips that we've been talking about today, leaving deadwood, leaving piles of sand, allowing stems to remain dormant over winter for habitat, growing native, saving seed, creating spaces for wildlife in the city. I just have to believe that that's possible. And I think the louder and more, the more we're talking about it, and the more that we're recording and saying, look, this is where all the life is, the more evidence that we have that this is valuable and important, and that it makes a difference.
Thank you. Did anyone else have any thoughts?
Elisa covered a lot of I agree with a lot of what Elisa said. I think I definitely believe that more fragmented spaces will become more connected, because you can just freely plant wherever and things will link up. I think the action that's being taken currently to really use green spaces as well as like community gardens as a biodiversity hub, I think that's really, really crucial, and I think that will help species going forward. Also on the kind of rewilding side, there is talk of storks and beavers being reintroduced. There's already beavers in Ealing, and they're doing a big part for the environment, introducing and encouraging more species to come back, that were previously struggling or previously weren't there. So I think, I believe the future of wildlife in London. If that was a question, sorry.
Yeah.
I think the future of nature in London is a bright future. Like I think there's a lot going on, and I'm seeing more and more of it, and I think that it's only going to get better. It's only going to increase, and for example, like what Elisa was saying with green roofs, a bird that comes to mind is the black redstart, which is also called the bomb sight bird, and they have struggled in the city, and I feel like revamping their conservation would be crucial, and another crucial species to add to the biodiversity in London. So I feel like all of the work going on right now, we just need to keep going and keep that drive and keep that hope, be very hopeful, because what's going on is already amazing, and we're already working towards a great future for London's wildlife, I believe.
Oh, thank you. So it's hope, full on hope from here on in. I love that. And just so much more awareness as well in people, and interest, and more education, and that's always going to just lead to more and more improvements. Thank you. We have a question from Rita asking, what do you feel is the biggest challenge to people to accessing and participating in community growing spaces? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I'd like to comment on that one, Rita. I think that time in a lot of community spaces run during the weekdays or on the weekends. And during the weekdays, people have work and different commitments, and it sometimes can be difficult. I also think it's challenging when community gardens have it like at a set time. We have more of like a drop-in session. So even if you arrive at 11 o'clock, we'll find something for you to do. Accessibility. Our growing centre is really fortunate that it's quite close to transport links. But in terms of making gardens accessible, it's really important just to incorporate all different shapes and sizes. So for me, whether it be low for children, at a decent level for elders, there's many different ways and interests that we can incorporate people into our communities. By taking their wants and needs for education, we're able to provide spaces that make it accessible for them based on their needs, because how do we know what communities need if we don't ask them?
Great, thank you. The next question kind of leads on from this in a way, in that from James Simpson was asking, is there any accessible best practice for engaging with junior and secondary schools on these issues to have this work become more mainstream? I mean, I know one of the major issues is it needs to be in the curriculum, because teachers are so up against it, just like trying to make sure that they get, you know, the cover whole curriculum, and food growing and sort of nature isn't really in there enough. But I wonder if anyone here has got any tips on getting around that and working with children in schools.
Again, we've done a few projects recently with schools, but then again, it's a funding based. Schools, unfortunately, they don't have enough funding to run or support their gardens. When we can, and many schools don't know how to or what to do or manage their gardens, and don't have the expertise in site or in-house. This is one of the things that Black Roots and Go Grow with Love and the Eatwood Green Project has been working to bridge barriers, so that we're able to facilitate sessions in schools and or bring schools to our sites. But it doesn't take away the fact that government should be responsible for ensuring that this training is a part of core curriculum. And again, at policy making level, that's something that maybe nationally should be more pushed. But again, what the resilience that we see in our gardens isn't always supported by governments. But again, working at policy level and trying to advocate, but that's all I can say.
Thank you, Pam. There's a great organization called School Food Matters, which needs food growing training for teachers, teaching them how to incorporate food growing into schools. But yeah, and we used to run a schools program at Capital Growth. But as you said, Pam, when the funding runs out, and then it's hard for teachers to keep it up. But kids do love it, and places like the Hackney School of Food is a great example where they've incorporated a community garden into a primary school, and they have a kitchen as well. So they're teaching kids about growing food, and then they're picking food and taking it to the kitchen and learning about cooking, and it's an incredible thing. But again, it's something that was like, it's fundraised for and managed by a separate company organization that's based at the school. So it's quite unusual, but it's a great model. So yeah, but we need more of it. Lots and lots more.
This isn't a question, but I really wanted to lend to something that Jonathan had said earlier. And it's like a word that connects us to all of nature. And I just wanted to, I don't like Latin, because sometimes when I first got into food growing, it was just like everybody was using these Latin words. Well, then I realized, okay, there is a place for them, but this moment, there's a place for this Latin word. Humus, Latin. Humus means soil, earth or ground. It refers to the rich organic part of the soil that supports life. Human, the word human comes from the word humanus. Humanus is related to humus, meaning of the earth or earthly. So again, that connection to soil, to everything, to the oil, to the all, is we will return and we will be decomposed by mycelium and we will become soil again. So humans are earth beings. And that's me for today.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Well, I think that's just the perfect way to end our webinar. We are Earth beings, and it's time we all went back to join our place and be more useful Earth beings. Um, thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here and a privilege and very heartwarming and uplifting to hear the work you're doing. And yeah, you've just injected a whole load of hope into this week ahead. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining us on this webinar and yeah, giving up um your your, your dinner time to be with us today. We will be sending round. Oh yeah, we do have a little feedback survey which Luna shared in the chat. If you can take a minute to just share how you found today's webinar. And we will be sharing the recording and all of the links that came up in all the chats in an email tomorrow. So please feel free to get in touch, get involved, and yeah, contact us if you want to share anything else that we didn't manage to cover in this session. But thanks very much. Good evening. Have a lovely rest. And yeah, enjoy the start of spring and getting your food growing projects and your fungi things going as well. I can't forget the fungi now. I've got to include it in everything. Don't forget the fungi. So thanks everyone and good night.
It's just the two of us, but still 14.